so many of our listeners have asked for an explanation into this, and I hope that we can get it. Now, not too long ago, the Tinubu administration signed into law the Student Loan Bill, aiming to enhance access to higher education for Nigerian students. Fantastic. The bill provides interest-free student loans with a focus on addressing financial constraints that hinder educational pursuit. Fantastic again. Now, the bill which passed a second reading at the House of Representatives on May 25, 2023, seeks to provide interest-free loans to students, ensuring that financial constraints do not hinder their educational pursuit. What's the loan for? That's the first question. According to the law, the loan is for students who need money to pay for school tuition fees for public students seeking higher education in any public institution. In addition, all students seeking higher education in any public institution have an equal right to access the loans under the Act without discrimination arising from gender, religion, tribe, position, or disability of any kind. That's one of the points. The law also indicates applicants for the student loan will prove that they are indigent Nigerians, which is defined as those coming from a family with an income of less than 500,000 naira per annum.
Yeah,
that's one of the things that ASU flagged. Why this stipulation? That's one of the red flags ASU has placed.
One of the things I want, that is something that I almost immediately picked on. A home with income of
less than 500,000. Yes.
Now, you know, this student loan thing was born out of the incessant strike by ASU, which most of the time is based on issues of increase our allowance, pay us arrears, and all of that. And the government started saying that what we earn from the university is not even enough to take care of you. So the government keeps paying extra to augment for whatever little thing comes out of the university.
Yep.
So some school of thought were of the opinion that in order to stop this incessant ASU strike, issues of professors not being paid well, PhD holders, lecturers, and all of that, let's get to a point where the university will actually earn money to take care of its cost. And the university is saying that doing that does not, we can't do that if the government keeps setting school fees for us. They are saying that the school fees that students pay are very low in most of the public universities. So what they want is to be able to charge the actual rate that it takes to educate a person through the tertiary institution. And they now say, okay, the issue on the other hand is how can the child of the poor person pay? Okay, so now if we remove that ceiling and allow the university to charge what is commensurate, it is not going to be anywhere far away from what the private universities are charging today. Because most of them are charging what they feel is right to give a decent education to Nigerians. Now, put that side by side. I think I know of a university that is charging about 1 million naira per session, and that is one of the conservative ones. So, if a person has to come from a family that earns only 500,000 naira per annum before he can access the loan, can the family who earn only 1 million naira or 2 million naira or even 5 million naira per annum pay the ways of their children through our public schools if the school fees were to even be raised to 300,000 or even 500,000 per session? Imagine a family that have 3 children, 2 of them are in the university. So I think that cap may need to be looked at once again.
Yes, I quite agree with you that has to be looked, because if you look at the current economy, how can you say 500,000 naira is now a yardstick for you to benefit? If you look at the way things are expensive, there is no way even common poor Nigeria will not end up to that, because you need to look at a lot of things that they cater to. However, you will recall that Gowan has actually introduced such scholarship before. And when he introduced it, it was not only even tuition fee, because if you look at this again, because I also saw a gap there, because if you say it cover only tuition fee could be maybe 30,000. But my rent itself in the school also got more than 30,000 within the same session. That's one. Also, the other logistics also. So if I'm expending 300,000 naira in a year, you are saying you are giving me only 30,000 naira, that is tuition fee. Would that encourage students to actually go to school? That's another question we need to look at. However, a lot of conditionalities have been there also. They also say that if you get this loan, after 2 years, you start paying. Do they factor in the challenges of unemployment in Nigeria? We have a lot of graduates now that are there, they don't have job for the past 10 years. So if they fall into this, and you said, I think there's a jail term for it if you default. So these are the things. There's jail term for it if you default. So these are the things we need to look at. In fact, they even say that the employee, you have to be paying, is it 10%? That your employer have to like be paying directly right from the source. So these are other factors that we need to in as much as it's a good one. It is being said that they will annex the money they will use in it from FIRS 1%, Nigeria Customs Service 1%, the energy sector 1%. But if you look at all this, FIRS 1% as at 2022 will be 101 billion naira. If you look at custom, it will be 22 billion. If you look at NNPC also, it will look at 6 billion. Will this be up? Let's assume they even do 200 billion. This will only cater to 2 million Nigeria students. So if you want to do such thing, it must have a coverage that is commensurate, that we can say yes, we have done. So for me, I think catering to only tuition fee will not be enough. Sometimes you need to do more. I think Elrufai is currently doing something like that. I think he kept some money too that people are assessing. Sorry, it's not Elrufai anymore now. It is another. Let's say Kaduna State governor taking it from the Elrufai administration. So it's a laudable one because right from the NSAS protest, everything, they are also looking at things to appeal to the Nigeria. I think it's a good one. And for the issue of the only problem is that we must also remember Ali must go. What brought about Ali must go? These are the things, because after they gave us that scholarship and then they gave Nigerians as a then, there was a cost reflection issues that Agaba is actually made mention of. Because if they give us that, does it mean the school fees is going to increase? These are the things we need to look at. Because if you give us loan, right, and the school fees is now beyond the reach of the poor, everybody will not be caught out to get loan or to get such money from. So we must not, because of giving student loan, now increase school fee beyond what Nigerian can be.
Now, always been old. Now, one of the reasons is that government has given that they've already subsidized federal universities tuition. Am I right?
Right.
And so it's definitely going to increase school fees. And the true talk is that education actually is not cheap. Private universities are proving it, and people are paying for private universities.
That's correct. But you also agree with me that if you want to measure development of any country, the easy way to measure them is a level of education. So no amount you are contributing, no amount of
education to what level?
It could be to, it does not matter level sometimes.
Education to what level?
There's subsidy everywhere. You have to look at it and we have to understand it. When you say education,
yes,
you don't at this age it should cover universities, not too much for Nigerians to do. Some states are still giving those opportunities.
But we tried covering the university and it's not working. We keep having incessant strikes.
Big idea. Let me come in this way. We need to. It is good to sign bills into act.
Yes.
But it's good that
the roadmap is properly plotted.
Clearly spelled out roadmap and ensure that it's workable and sustainable. If you look at the societies like America, where we are copying this from, students can go to school and work.
Yes.
There are jobs for them to do. And as soon as you leave school, depending on what you want, there's always something you can do to start paying back. In the stopgap, there are other things to cushion it. If you look at this our own, although I have not read the comprehensive act, which I will take time to read, I am seeing a problem of sustainability. Because when it comes to funding always have to recycle. You have to cycle between one person brings his own back so that the next person can have access to it. That is necessary to be put in place. You also need to consider the term of study of the person. So somebody who is doing a degree program, which is normally 4 years, you can't tell the person to start paying back in 2 years. Although I still talk about
2 years after NYSC.
Okay, 2 years after NYSC.
What's the guarantee that he has a job?
No, that's the point. That's the gap. But the beauty of every bill is that it is open to adjustment.
Because I want us to start checking out.
In a hurry to launch it when we know that there's a chance it will fail. And we are in a country where if something fails, people don't say, let's look at it again and fix it. They say, throw it away completely. So we need to look at that. Then another thing is, what is our curriculum like? Does the curriculum still train students, graduates, who are directly useful in the labor market today?
That's a very, very valid question.
Because the curriculum we run trains students to cram things and regurgitate them. Today, even you who go outside the box to educate yourself, you still can't come to the average labor market today and fit in. A lot of things have changed. I would have thought that the first thing to do is to rework our curriculum.
Right. In one of my...
Rework it to give us skills that are productive. Skills targeted at our market today.
Right. I was opportune to discuss this very days on one TV station yesterday, and I made mention of what you said now, that even I will go further to advise Mr. President. It is not only that you give loans for general education. You can also look at specifics, such as we're in the digital age now. You can also encourage people that are going to for technological related education, that you will get also percentage, and also go this, because you can look at our fintech now. If you look at our fintech, it is the envy of the global community. I think Nigeria has the best fintech now. So all this area we need to be just identified, because there's some curriculum, there's some courses that cannot give you a job at this age again. A good example, when we study economics, I'm not saying economics cannot give you a job, but it is the age of computer economics. When you graduate, a good example, if you graduate as an economist, you study economics, if you graduate, where are you expecting to work? Now you have to be looking to become supporting staff and what have you. But if you do computer economics, you can be in your house and be regressing. You can be in your house and be checking inflation. You can be in your house and be doing it. So you can even self-employ yourself. You understand? Just like the physics, electronic physics. When you do these things, you can be in your house and start doing something productive. So you must look at, if you look at Ghana, a country that is closer, most courses that does not really, I think there was a joke by one of our past presidents when he was in a live program, right, live media chat, and somebody said, what do you study? Immediately that person mentioned the course he studied, say, where do you think you can get a job? Why will you go and study that in school? A president at that time, one of our past presidents in this Fourth Republic made mention of that. So it simply means that we must look at our curriculum and look at what you can actually do. If you study some courses now, you need to just go for professional again. And look at most private university. Once you're an accounting student, they encourage you to carry ICANN along. They encourage you to carry ACC along. So by the time you are graduating, you are also graduating as a chartered accountant. How can that person compete with somebody who just graduated BSc accounting? So these are the things we need to look at.
Talking about the student loan.
Right.
And now,
part of curriculum.
Now, additionally, the fund provides financial advice on educational matters, ensures adequate loan security, engages in other banking activities, and takes legal action to recover loan and enforce the provision of the Act. Now, what I'm getting at is what you guys have just said about the curriculum. Additionally, the fund provides financial advice on educational matters, financial advice, ensures adequate loan security. Now, the fund is also responsible for issuing quarterly reports on loan performance to the President and establishing rules and guidelines, including application procedures to enhance efficiency. Now, just like you said, there are some courses, if we're going to enhance or improve on our curriculum, that is ASU to do that. Because based on the present day reality, we must come to terms with that. Because with this, education, we have come to the present day reality of education. It is expensive.
Right.
And government cannot continue to carry the burden alone. That's why we have a deregulation. We have private universities out there which are expensive. And funny enough, these universities are being paid for by these same Nigerians that say it's expensive.
But right, like what he mentioned, if these loans goes like this, that means with time, people in the private university, we also have to ask them, because by the time you move the
it's for public universities.
No, that's what I'm saying. By the time you increase the price of public university, some private university will be there that will be conservative, alternate, be missionary and what have you. That will also have, but that means you should also.
It opens the door for a whole lot of things to happen.
That's what I'm saying. But another thing we are not looking at is the conditionalities that is attached to this loan.
Okay.
Now it says that you must bring a civil servant who has served for 12 years as a guarantor. You must also bring a lawyer who has served post-call 10 years. Now, even the civil servant who still have 12 years within the service, but a post-call lawyer that have 10 years experience. Now, we are also looking at
giving the lawyers money to be made.
It's becoming a commercialization. Having said that, the family must have a particular amount, like
less than 500,000,
which is not tenable. I think they are going to
somebody who is even doing 12 million per annum may not be able to pay school fees
because of his net, because of his net income in that state.
So that's a red flag that we must adjust.
Yes, they must adjust.
That's a major red flag.
Because if they don't adjust that, it will also lead to a lot of things. People will start falsification of documents, and also this lawyer and the civil servant become a commercialization avenue again, whereby people also give condition. You must bring this. You must be trust.
I think that we can even do one thing in order to catch those people who want to escape from the system. If we unify.
When you say catch people who want to escape from the system, what is that?
Yes, so maybe somebody who takes the loan and would not want to pay back.
Where you
run
wrong?
away.
Where you wrong?
Now, I think if we harmonize our database and run an efficient system, nobody needs to bring a guarantor. All I need is my national identity number. And my bank verification.
All those things we were exposed, but it's in Nigeria that we find it difficult identifying our people.
It's a loan.
I remember in Rwanda, when I was there, I tried to understudy their economics and how it operates. They divide people into stratas. They have very poor, they have the middle class, and they have the rich. So ideally, and the poor goes to free education up to university level. Why they also give them a cow, maybe 2 cows every year. So they want to move you beyond that poverty level. After 3 years, they expect you to have moved, to that next level. But the challenge of Nigeria is that do we have that data you're asking?
Exactly.
We don't have data of people. And that one community, even it will even be the chief of the community that also give the updates of people in his
maybe we should be talking to the census committee now.
Then
the suspended censor.
Another aspect also
is
the quality of our primary and secondary education.
What does that have to do
in a developed country, it is not everybody that has a degree. It's not everybody. So, how can we enrich our primary and secondary curriculum so that somebody who graduates from there can take on a job without necessarily going to the university?
No, I think our primary secondary education has been enriched.
I think those
very well.
The whole lot.
You know why? Before when you go to secondary school, you might likely stop at JSS 3. You might likely stop at primary school. But what they do is that primary school, junior secondary school is mostly domiciled in the primary school now. So when you are moving, the least education you can have in Nigeria is to junior secondary school, and which is
technical based.
Technically, which is very big. So it says, over time, we'll find it difficult to have. We'll move to a literate society.
Let's wrap this up.
I want to insist a little bit because I am quite close to that level of education.
Right.
And I have seen the quality of instruction. And it doesn't give the child any skills actually to fit into today's market.
You do know the loan is for tertiary institutions.
It's not expected
I'm talking. You know why I'm bringing this case?
It's just to
Because that's the basic. That's basic.
This basic.
And that's for the local government and the states.
Yeah.
No, but that basic education in Nigeria, I think you are not bad.
We have a president that came into the presidency with basic education.
A lot,
No, what I'm saying is
even some government, even some honorable.
we don't want every Nigerian.
Is secondary school certificate.
We don't want
secondary or primary school.
School.
We don't want every Nigerian gravitating towards this loan because all of us want to go to tertiary.
Well, with
make it possible
with the benchmarks that have been put,
secondary,
as much as we are flagging it,
become gainfully employed.
with the benchmarks that have been put, as much as we are putting some red flags to some of these benchmarks, these are benchmarks that must be to an extent adhered to. Yeah, there will be a measure of amendment. Just like you said, 500,000 naira a year is unrealistic.
It's unrealistic.
Because if you calculate it in a month, that's less than how much right now? That's Anita, you go to the market, how much?
That's less than 50,000.
That's 5,000 or
around 40, 30, 35, 40.
That's a lie. That wouldn't work.
It won't work.
It won't work. It will definitely not.
I'm sure they will adjust it. Let's commend them for
yeah,
such
fantastic.
Good idea.
But let's give it a human face.
Tinubu promised that he's going to listen and consult. So let's hope they listen and consult to amend such.
Who did he consult before he did the first subsidy? Before he went to announce it.
He was not responsible for first subsidy.
Who did he consult before he just said it?
First subsidy was laid in the pipeline. It was in the works.
Please
The
don't
only thing he did was to shorten it by 31 days or thereabout.
So that shorting, do you know what it actually means? But the person who left, the president who left,
20,000 naira from
the president who left
last week Friday to now.
my own is 30,000. The person who actually left have some provision,
Yes.
and that's what we need to look at. If Dangote refinery comes on board, it's going to reduce fuel cost by 27%. You know why? Because the transportation itself will be killed, and do you know how much that 27% is? If you reduce it from 537, it's like 390 something naira. So
yeah, but we are still at the mercy of the owner of the refinery.
Yes.
Let's look forward to that. Let's look forward to that.
We still have that benefit. So we expect government to provide some provision before they actually.
So we're still. Is this now the final question before we shift to the unified? I like calling it unified forex, but the final question is this part of the palliative purpose?
Which one? Is it students?
Yes.
Students loan?
Yes.
Not at all.
No, they are not related.
They are not. It's not
So under what is this?
Well, it's education support system. It's just
I think
supporting.
it's resolving incessant ASU.
Before the president left, there was a set
correlation with ASU strike. It does not have correlation with ASU strike at all.
because that's what somebody just asked.
That means we are not
Somebody because remember now, Doc. Remember the president signed in a certain amount before he left for ASU.
Yes, 300 billion.
300 billion.
Right.
Is this also part of that?
No, the fact is that
Because I really want.
education.
Let's know where this is coming from.
Let's get it right, please. Education loan. I think the issue of NSAS and other youth-related issue bring about scholarship. You understand for the youth. But ASU strike is a different because what they are fighting for. They are talking about infrastructure. They're talking about welfareism. Now, if you look at welfareism, common civil servant. Sorry, I use that language erroneously. A civil servant, a public servant, is also agitating. That are not even in ASU.
Let me
does not have correlation.
Let me tell you why I related this to the ASU issue. Because when ASU came out, their complaint has been dilapidated infrastructure, no fund for research, allowances, arrears not paid and all of that. And what have been the problem? The problem have been a government will come on board and agree to humongous amount they know fully well that they won't pay. Then ASU keep telling you we signed this agreement from 2009. We signed it from 1994.
So what is this supposed to solve?
The challenge was
education at poverty.
Education at that level is
that those
subsidized.
that cannot afford education
the
can have sustainable way of giving them, and that's why the money is going to be 1% from FRS,
Yes.
1% from NCS, 1% from NNPC.
Okay, let me tell you how it's going to be funded.
Right.
One significant source of the funding is education bonds,
Yes.
which will be issued to generate funds specifically for
CBN.
educational purposes.
That's from CBN.
Number two, the fund will benefit from education endowment fund schemes, where contributions and investment will be made to support educational initiatives. To further booster the fund, a percentage of taxes, levies, and duties collected by the government of the Federation from entities such as the FIRS, the Immigration Service, the Custom Service will also be allocated. The allocated is 1% of the total revenue from these sources, ensuring a consistent flow of funds to support student loans and educational programs. Furthermore, the Nigerian Education Fund will receive 1% of the profit generated by the government of the Federation from the exploration and exploitation of oil and other mineral resources. This revenue streams taps into the natural resources sector to contribute the financing of student loans and educational initiatives. This is where it's going to come
and
from.
when you look at it,
Let me take from him.
Cumulatively, you'll be realizing that it's about 200 billion naira that they want to kickstart with, which will only cater for 2 million Nigerians, which is a good number because we divide 2 million Nigerians and they are supposed to be dropped. Because that's another thing. There should be a system that will check who actually, because we have people that actually drop out because of tuition fee. You know, you can also get the accommodation. If you have been to a Nigerian university, you know what, or polytechnics, you know how we rugged the accommodation. Like 5 of us can be in a room and what have you, then you still survive. You can still survive the logistics, but sometimes tuition fee becomes a problem. But I will let you know this before now. If you go to university, if you don't have the pay to pay, they'll allow you to graduate. So when you graduate,
you start paying
when you want to
everything.
collect your certificate,
You pay at the present rate.
exactly. When you want to graduate, the challenge is when you want to graduate, it's better then. But now, you know what it is? If you don't pay for a particular level, you cannot proceed to the next level. And that's the danger. Because I remember when I want to do my defense, they said you must pay everything before you can defend. But before you defend, then you go and also for the money and you come and pay. So now this thing will also expose that danger. That means public university will now expect every student to pay at every semester exams. Do you know what I'm trying to say? If they will check your receipt, do you pay? If you don't pay, go out.
Is that a red flag for you?
That's a red flag. It's danger.
Let me see your take on this, on the funding. Because also, finally, organizations' donation gifts will also come in from the private bodies. Go ahead.
The funding is pretty much not a big issue if the payback is fixed. But I want to come in on the aspect of the contribution of this act to the ASU issues, how they are related, so that we prepare the minds of Nigerians, not lead them to believe that things are going to be as it used to be. There was this argument on one quarter that ASU said the government is telling us they can't give us all this money, and they are not allowing us to charge the commensurate school fees to run the school as a business.
That is university autonomy. That's
yes.
what you are trying
no,
to
that,
about.
Yes. Now, some school of thought then suggested then that, okay, why don't we let this university charge what they want to charge and then create a student loan scheme for students? Because the question was, if you charge what you want, how can the poor man's child pay? So the idea was, bring this loan scheme and let the university be run as their own entity. And I can see some state university already doing that.
That's what I'm about to
doing
say. That if you look at state university,
so
they are
it's going
much
to
more
happen at the
expensive
federal
than
level.
federal university.
Yes.
Already.
Yes. It's going to happen.
And people are going to
People are going to the two. That's the thing. So
because that's the only way you can
But
break
federal universities are
successfully.
more competitive than even state universities.
or recognized.
It is only at
Recognized
it
and
is only
competitive.
at
I
this
think
rate.
that's
When you allow the university to run as a business unit, Oga, what you raise.
Is that not what they're doing right now?
there is no way
That is not what they
there's
are
no way
doing for
government
now.
will take that granted for now. If you do that, most
But
people
eventually,
even
if
your
this loan, for
scholarship
this
cannot
loan
take care
to
of it.
stay,
So, okay.
this loan to stay, that is where we are.
The fund, right? The source of the fund,
Yes.
the scholarship itself,
The
very sustainable.
And the scholarship?
Because it's sustainable and it's open to amendments over time.
Do you doubt the
Well, I would like to observe first.
Okay.
You are cautious optimism.
Yes.
He wants to take it in small doses.
Yes.
All right. Quickly now, we're out of time, but